At our housewarming gathering, my fiancé stood up in the middle of the living room and announced loudly to everyone, "I can't wait until we're married so I can finally get his mother out of here. She's so irritating." My mom was literally 3 feet away, holding a tray of food she'd spent all day making. I looked at her and said, "Get out." Then I escorted my fiancé out of my own house in front of roughly 40 guests. The next morning, she woke up at her parents' place, single, ring returned. I've never shared anything like this online before, but I need to vent somewhere. Let me give the background first. I'm 28M, had been with Vanessa, 26F, for about 14 months. We got engaged fast, maybe too fast in hindsight. At the beginning, she felt like everything I'd ever wanted, but that's not the focus right now. 2 months ago, I closed on my first house. It's nothing luxurious, just a modest 3-bedroom ranch in a quiet subdivision, but it's mine. I worked endless overtime shifts at the factory for years to save the down payment. Owning a home was a dream I'd had since childhood, growing up in cramped apartments. My mother has been living with me since the day I got the keys. Her divorce from my stepfather became final around the same time, and she had nowhere stable to land while she sorted things out. There was never any debate in my mind about letting her stay. She raised me alone until I was 12, so taking her in was automatic. The plan was always temporary. She's been on waiting lists for senior apartments and independent living communities, but the good ones move slowly. She's tidy, soft-spoken, helpful with chores, and honestly the best company after a long shift. We watch classic films together. She tells me stories from when I was little, and it feels comfortable. Vanessa knew all this from the start and originally thought it was admirable. She was sleeping over most nights anyway and used to say how sweet it was that I looked after my mom. That family should take care of family. For the first few weeks, she and mom got along with no visible friction that I noticed. Then, roughly 6 weeks ago, the tone shifted. Vanessa started dropping hints about wanting the place to ourselves, how nice it would be to walk around without worrying about privacy. She'd casually mention that mom might want to speed up her search. I reminded her that mom was actively looking but couldn't be rushed into a bad situation, and that wasn't negotiable for me. Vanessa would nod and say she understood, yet the subject kept resurfacing every couple of weeks, always wrapped in concern for our future. The remarks became more regular once we picked a wedding date for next autumn. She began talking about redecorating, turning the spare room into a proper guest suite for wedding visitors, painting the walls her colors. All clear signals that mom's days here were numbered in her mind. I kept saying we'd figure it out when the time came, that mom would move when she found the right spot and not a minute sooner. Vanessa would smile tightly, but I could sense the impatience building. It felt like she was slowly trying to nudge me into pushing my own mother out. 2 weeks ago, we finally scheduled the housewarming party. I'd been delaying it because of the living situation, but Vanessa was eager to show the house off to her circle. She'd been planning for weeks. Theme, menu, decorations, playlist, the works. We invited around 40 people in total. My crew from the plant, a few neighbors, my aunt and uncle, Vanessa's college friends, her coworkers, and both sets of parents. Standard mix. Nothing wild, just drinks, food, music, and a chance for everyone to see the new place. Mom insisted on helping with the cooking. She's an incredible home cook and wanted to contribute her famous bites that people always rave about. Vanessa wasn't thrilled that mom was basically co-hosting, but she kept it polite. The morning of the party, mom was up at dawn preparing everything. The kitchen smelled amazing. Trays were beautifully arranged. She was genuinely excited to meet my friends and play hostess. She even put on a nice dress and did her hair. Vanessa arrived around noon to decorate and immediately started rearranging things mom had already set up, moving platters, adjusting centerpieces. Mom just smiled and let her take over. I was busy setting up the cooler and speakers. At one point, Vanessa pulled me into the hallway and said we needed a serious talk after the party about where we're headed. I assumed wedding details and told her we'd carve out time later. Guests started rolling in around 6. Everyone loved the house, raved about the food, complimented the layout. Mom was glowing, refilling drinks, chatting, telling funny stories from my childhood that had people laughing. The vibe was perfect for the first couple of hours. Around 8:30, Vanessa had put away several glasses of wine. She gets loud and unfiltered when she drinks. She was holding court with her college friends near the island. I was on the other side of the room talking cars with my uncle, but I could hear snippets. It started harmless, wedding dress ideas, honeymoon destinations. Then one of her friends asked point-blank when Mom would be moving out so we could have the house to ourselves after the wedding. That's when Vanessa's guard completely vanished. She laughed loudly and said words I'll never forget. "Oh please, she won't be here. I can't wait until we're married so I can finally get his mother out. She's so irritating." Her voice carried. Conversations nearby stopped dead. Heads turned. Multiple guests heard it crystal clear and looked horrified. Mom was standing directly behind her, holding another tray she'd just brought out from the kitchen. I watched the blood drain from Mom's face. Her hands started trembling. She'd spent the entire day cooking for these people, welcoming them into what she thought was also her home for now. And this is what she heard. The woman I was supposed to marry had just insulted her to her face, in front of everyone we knew, and announced plans to throw her out like an unwanted tenant. The room went quiet fast as the comment rippled outward. Vanessa finally noticed the silence, glanced around, saw Mom behind her, and realized what she'd done. The color left her face too, but the damage was irreversible. I crossed the room, looked her straight in the eyes, and said, "Get out." She immediately started backpedaling. "I didn't mean it like that. I was joking. I've had too much wine, but I wasn't having it. Get your things and leave my house right now." She looked around for allies. No one spoke up. Every person who'd heard her words was staring in disbelief that she'd said that about a sweet woman who'd done nothing but welcome her. "You can't be serious," she said. "This is our party." "It's my house," I replied. "You have 5 minutes, or I'm calling the cops for trespassing." Dead silence. Mom had quietly set the tray down and disappeared toward the back bedroom, tears already forming. Vanessa tried tears next, begging me not to throw everything away over one drunk comment, promising we could fix it later. I repeated, "Leave." She finally understood I meant it, grabbed her purse, walked to the door, paused dramatically, and said, "This is crazy. He's picking his mother over his fiancée. What kind of man does that?" My uncle answered before I could, "The kind worth marrying. Shame you couldn't see it." She left without another word. We heard her car start and peel out. The remaining guests were stunned, but once the full story spread, every single person agreed I'd done the right thing. Mom came back out, apologizing to me, saying she'd look harder for a place so she wouldn't cause trouble. I shut that down instantly, told her this was her home for as long as she needed, and anyone who disagreed could follow Vanessa out the door. The party limped on. People were kind, made a point to thank Mom for the incredible food, told her how lovely she was. By midnight, everyone had left, hugging us both on the way out. Mom and I sat up talking until 3 in the morning. She kept blaming herself. I kept telling her Vanessa had simply shown who she really was, and I was thankful it happened before vows. The next day, my phone blew up with apologies from Vanessa, long essays about alcohol and stress, and how she didn't really feel that way. I ignored them all. Her dad called, asking if we could handle this like adults. Told him the engagement was over. Her mom showed up at the door that evening, pleading that Vanessa was young and stressed and had been raised better. I thanked her for coming but repeated, the mask was off. Friends tried mediating for days. Vanessa was apparently a wreck at her parents' house, promising the world if I'd take her back. I never replied. A week later came a 3-page handwritten letter full of regret and promises. I threw it out halfway through. Mom's name came up on the waiting list for a beautiful senior community about 20 minutes away. Spot open the week after the party, like the universe stepping in. She moves in next month, thrilled about the pool, the activities, the friends her age. I put down the deposit and will help her move. She'll still come for dinner twice a week, holidays, anytime she wants. Perfect balance of independence and closeness. People ask if I regret ending it so publicly. Not for a second. She humiliated my mother in front of 40 witnesses. The least I could do was defend her in front of the same 40. Some say I overreacted to a drunken slip. I say drunk words are sober thoughts, and those thoughts had clearly been brewing for weeks. Better a broken engagement than a bitter marriage and an eventual divorce. The house is calm now. Mom and I cook together, watch our old movies, no tension, no passive-aggressive comments. Just peace. I've started dating again and lead with the fact that my mom is part of my life and always will be. Any woman who bristles at that can keep walking. Vanessa still texts occasionally from new numbers asking for coffee and closure. I block everyone. There's nothing left to say. Return the ring. 8. The restocking fee, still cheaper than alimony would have been. Vendors were surprisingly understanding when I canceled everything. One even said, "We've seen worse, but rarely that justified." Mom jokes that she saved me from a lifetime of misery just by being her kind self. She's not wrong. Sometimes the universe hands you the truth gift-wrapped in the most chaotic way possible. That housewarming didn't celebrate a new home with my future wife. It celebrated the home I already had, with the woman who actually deserved to be in it. Vanessa woke up single because she forgot respect is non-negotiable. I woke up free. No regrets. Mom moves next Friday, already planning the first dinner she's hosting for me in her new place. Life goes on, quieter, happier, and a whole lot more honest. That's the full story. Needed to get it out there exactly as it happened. Thanks for reading.